away we go. Kicking things off with our Devourer to shore up our draws here for Damien. And first turn play will be good old Haywire Might.
Good old Haywire Might, always good against this deck, as it has a lot of targets that you can hit, and it's not super vulnerable when you just cast it. There is the Kozilek's Return that can get it at some point. But otherwise, you just want to play that if you have no other play. Helps with your Metalcraft and get some damage going.
Yeah, 20-turn clock, baby. Let's go. It is an insect, right? Has to be an insect.
I believe you are correct. I don't know if that creature type has ever been relevant.
Yeah, bug.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, Grist likes insects, okay?
That's fair. That does happen.
Anyway. Getting in for 1 point of damage there. Aha! We're winning! No, but wait. We've shocked ourselves and taken a ping from our fetch land, so David Olsen is losing.
One thing that I would look at from Damien's side, obviously the game just begun, but there was that Devourer of Destiny, and all 4 cards were exiled. So Damien could have the type of hand where he's very much looking for a specific thing, and so far hasn't hit it.
Yep. Does have some ramp, though, to kick things off, and on David's side, we have an Emery able to get some more things in the bin. Going to take a peek on top of the library with the baubles. So filling up the graveyard very nicely. If we get a breach, this game could be over quite soon.
Yep, and in fact would be over here as long as we have a couple land drops. So David did look on top. I saw a Thundering Falls and a fetch land. So David passing the turn here, going to draw a good card, as you saw it with baubles. So
Bauble. Draws the card, courtesy of the Mishra's Bauble.
Yep.
And now we're going to see Kozilek's Command.
So what is very apparent here is Damien was looking for land and didn't find anything with the Devourer and just cycled the command there, basically. And, what really gave it away that he needed a land is he drew a land, it didn't touch his hand, and it entered the battlefield. I know, expert commentary here. Really was a big sign here. But, I mean, that is the problem with the Eldrazi deck sometimes. Like, you keep hand with the Devourer as you have a pretty good chance of finding what you need, but we saw no lands in those 4 cards, and you got to gamble a little bit.
It's kind of like, what was that card? Sphinx of Foresight? Also, it's the 4-mana bird.
Oh.
That would let you look at the top 4 cards of your library.
Yeah.
Kind of like top of the deck manipulation,
There's been some fun cards like that in the past. So one thing I see from David is we for sure have Breach's low-key best card, Rumble, in hand. So being able to Rumble, I believe we had land 3 and a Mox. So if you were able to find the Breach this turn, there's a chance you could win, depending on what we mill over here. But that was not it. And as it stands, David doesn't really have too much gas left in the tank. But when you have Emery and Bauble, you always have the ability to draw 2 cards a turn.
Something to do indeed with Emery on the board. So not the turn 2 or 3 kill that David was hoping for. And Damien will be quite happy to see that, no doubt.
Yep, and now it will be that big turn for Damien. You want to be able to have either the 6 mana, cast your Eldrazi to blow up some lands and get your own land, the Myco spawn, or get Karn down and be able to find something like a Tormod's Crypt or some hateful piece.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Utopia Sprawl getting exiled there, courtesy of the Haywire Might, so no ramp for you, at least in that regard.
Yep, love that. Just being able to choke your opponent out on mana at all. And it was pretty obvious that Damien didn't have a land last turn, so needs a top deck land to just cast a Karn, even if it's there.
Yeah. Possibly going for a flip Tameo next turn for David?
Yep, quite possibly. Looks like there was the land, so everything seems to be online. I think I saw another Utopia Sprawl as well. So if Karn's there, Damien has the ability to go Utopia Sprawl on a land, which is essentially free, and then Karn or any other 4-drop. Something that would be less than exciting right now for Damien is just like Utopia Sprawl into Writhing Chrysalis or something.
Yeah.
Like, as cool as that card is, and as as mythic of a common it was in the limited format, it's just okay here.
Yeah.
You can block the Tameo, which is kind of cool.
It's no Karn.
Yeah, it is no Karn.
Could even kill the Tameo if anyone forgets that it has reach. But no, it is Karn.
Exactly.
So, Karn, what you going to go fetch there, bud?
The kind of go-to play when you're playing up against a deck that has Unholy Heats in the main, which David does not have, so the option is still kind of open, is to just go get a Crypt. Now you have 2 permanents that both kind of stop the Breach player from comboing. Like, each of them does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
You know, so now David has to find a way to deal with Karn, and with no Unholy Heats, you know, that is the biggest weakness when you don't play Heat. Heat can be kind of bad at times. I totally get it, but you leave yourself in such a rough spot to this Karn, as there's just 3 ways to bounce it from David's side. Otherwise, you have to figure out a way to attack it, which without a Saga is not an easy task.
You know when the car manufacturers do their crash test dummy tests,
Yep.
right? They start slamming things into walls.
Yep.
That's kind of what it feels like when a piece of graveyard hate like a Crypt shows up
Yeah.
for the Breach player.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
Like, haha, you had momentum, but no, boom.
Yeah. I'll win so many games online when it comes to a player like just playing Karn, ticking up or ticking down for like something they're going to cast the next turn. This is exactly what Damien should be doing against this, is playing something that immediately impacts the battlefield. And it's really only 2 choices. It's either the Crypt or it's a Chalice on 0.
Yeah.
And I think the Crypt is better. So Damien knows his way around playing against Breach players.
Does add that. So a big think now from David Olsen in the tank. Finds an Urza's Saga. That'll go on to the first chapter there. And will we try and get Tameo flipped?
Yeah, a little late on the Saga, as it's not going to be able to make constructs. And without a Flame of Anor or something like that to draw cards, we won't be doing any Tameo flipping. So, yeah, Tameo will just be making artifacts, which will make Urza's Saga bigger. You know, and that's all fine and good, but the one thing the Eldrazi deck is good at doing is invalidating those constructs if you have enough time. The construct plan is usually not that great against Karn, unless you can put a construct into play. The turn Karn comes down, and then you can attack it.
So Haywire might gets to escape exile from Tormod's Crypt. But I imagine as soon as that's targeting Tormod's Crypt's going to say, no, thank you, bye-bye.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and...
okay.
And, of course, Karn always shuts down any of those abilities,
True, yeah.
so it gets real mean.
Static abilities, man. They always get you.
Yeah, the Narsets and the Karns
Looking at you,
always getting
Narset.
you.
Okay, so it's a 1-2 that can hit you. Sorry, a 1-1. It's a 1-1.
Exactly.
It's still cute, though.
So now Karn's getting bounced.
Okay, that makes things different.
Definitely. And now, are we just going for it? Okay, no, just sacking the clue. So just trying to use...
Flip-it-flop.
Just flipping this right now, trying to get back, sink into Stupor or something to be able to deal with the Karn later. But that Crypt will still do a number on that.
Maybe try get Rumble? No, we're going for the Crypt. No, we're going for the Utopia Sprawl again. Okay.
Yep, I like that. Going for the Crypt just doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As it'll just get popped in response, and it still gets everything.
This fun little game is like, I'm not gonna poke the bear here. Let's just get rid of some other resources from you.
Yep. And now will be Damien's almost for sure turn where you just replay Karn, and you can search something out of the graveyard or out of your sideboard again. No Chalice.
It's got explosives, Cityscape Leveler, Soulless Jailer, Liquid Metal Coating.
Yeah, it's usually
Stone Brains.
Usually after you get the Crypt in play, it's almost always Liquid Metal Coating, but the Soulless Jailer is good against the deck as well. Pretty much the whole sideboard is good against Breach.
Who'da thunk it?
Yep. Yeah, this Eldrazi deck, I think the biggest, calling to this version is Kozilek's Return and, the combination of Writhing Chrysalis and the fact that this Eldrazi deck isn't just playing I have Karn in the early game, and then I'm going up to something big like Emrakul or something. It has that, turns 3, turn 4 plays to be able to be good against Boros Energy. Like this Eldrazi deck with Kozilek's Return is so good against Boros, where if you can then just have a bunch of cards against Breach, all of a sudden you have a good matchup against the 2 best decks.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a reason to be playing this version of Eldrazi ramp.
Yeah, I think energy got a little squished this weekend.
Yep.
Oh, they're small creatures.
And I mean, it's had the target on its back for quite a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's been the deck that everybody thought would be the most played deck going into basically every RC, including this one. And that's been true for all of them. Now it'll be interesting going into the next wave of RCs because I think people will very much think Breach will be the #1 deck.
Yeah.
So now it'll be interesting to see if the metagame can adapt to Breach or if people start gunning after Breach and it's still the best deck. You know, that's when you get into the conversations of this deck may be too strong.
Yeah, can't beat him, join him.
Yep.
So, looking at the metagame for day 2, who do you think got it right?
I would think it's still the Breach players, and this is my biases taken out of it. But it just seems like the conversion rate was absurd when it came to Breach for this tournament. So, and it seems to be Teamer Breach so far. There was not a lot of 4-color that made it to the second day. It was
3.
Yeah. it was a lot more Teamer. So I think Teamer Breach still got it right, which would be no shock to anyone with how much I've been hyping this deck up for so long.
One might say you're a fan.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan. I think the Blink deck is having a pretty good weekend, too.
The which one?
The
Orzhov
Blink.
Yeah, I would agree. But the last time we looked at the standings, you know, there was a lot less of them.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
So they put in a formidable performance.
Definitely.
But maybe not a tournament-winning one.
Definitely.
All right, it's a battle of Planeswalkers here as Sowing Micah Spawns hit the board. We've got Constructs coming out. We've got Tameo flipped. Emery still hanging around.
Yep, and this is the type of the game where Damien has just tightened his grip on David slowly but surely. The graveyard's gone. The artifacts are starting to get poked away with Karn's tick-up ability. There's not that much power on the battlefield. David's hand is low of resources. Damien's doing a fantastic job of really taking everything away from David.
Oh, Soulless Jailer now, too. Just some insult to injury, some salt in the wounds, if you will.
Yep, Damien has done a great job here of ending the turn with 2 pieces of hate that David has to deal with.
Yeah.
Basically at every point in the game.
I was gonna say this feels like a post-sideboard game, but I mean, it is because he's just digging things out of his sideboard. Karn.
Yes.
Cheats.
Now, that being said, the post-sideboard games get a lot better for Breach. You know, I think this matchup, if you ignored the card Consign to Memory, I think this is a tough matchup for Breach. I would think this is a non-favorable match. But with how much Consign flips the matchup, I still think this matchup favors Breach.
Malevolent Rumble now for David. Gonna get a Grinding Station, Soul Guide Lantern, another Rumble, and an Underworld Breach in the bin. What are we going for? Do you think he's got the... Can he go for it?
No, not with Karn in play. So step 1 is probably to see if you can get this construct to 4 power, so you can at least force a chump block on this Karn. And if you can't do that, you know, you just start trying to set up until you find a Sink in the Stupor or Otawara to bounce Karn. But this is a nice little trick you get from Tameo. Rumble's basically free since it adds a mana when you get a green spell. So you get to use the spawn that you created and then add a green mana. So it's kind of free. So, Tameo and Rumble are best buds.
Yeah, so Tameo gets around the Jailer because it's coming to your hand, right?
Exactly,
so bypassing that little roadblock there.
Yep, exactly.
And Malevolent Rumble never actually putting the thing in the bin.
Yeah, Jailer shuts down, you know, Underworld Breach as you can't cast anything from the yard, but you can return them.
And Emery as well,
Yep.
Okay.
Shuts down a lot of stuff.
He looks like such a nice guy, you know? With Soulless Jailer. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Have him around for dinner.
Yeah, super fun fella there, you know?
He brings his own meal. Lock the door, eat the key.
There you go.
Turn passes back now to Damien. Still has an active Karn, which is a pain in the butt for artifacts all around the world.
Yep, and now we're getting to the point where you can start looking at a negative Karn for something to close the game. And I think the only card that is I want to slam the door shut card in the sideboard is the Cityscape Leveler. Finding that's when you're like, the game is won. I just need something to actually go over the finish line.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this Eldrazi ramp deck is just a prison-style deck where it's trying to prevent you from doing any fun stuff and then winning the game with really whatever you want.
Nice. Well, not nice if you're on the other side of it, but...
Yeah.
Pretty solid game plan as Malevolent Rumble makes an appearance here for Damien this time around. And plenty of options here for him now. Lots of things to do. Gonna take a look here at the graveyard for David. What's he looking for?
Just seeing what is left in the deck. Probably how many breaches you got left.
Yep.
How many Sink into Stupors and Ottawaras, as those seem to be really the most important cards right now. You know, I hate going to keep harping on the Unholy Heats, but those are the cards in this matchup that are really, really strong in game one.
Yeah.
Can deal with the Jailer, can deal with the Karn, and without those, it's pretty tough. We see 2 of those in the sideboard, which will probably come in, but definitely game one, a little soft to Karn.
Yeah. Damien just checking something with the judge. Something about the Haywire Mite.
Looks like it. And that Haywire might almost assuredly go into exile this Urza's Saga at some point.
Yeah. Just to prevent any constructs
Exactly.
joining the fray.
I don't think they would even be big enough, but...
yeah, that one's a 2-2 at the moment.
Exactly. And now if I'm David, I think number one, I would be starting to think, okay, is it possible for me to win? You know, take another turn if something starts to come down where the door is starting to get closed. Just be like, all right, maybe consider packing it in pretty soon just to make sure you can finish all the games. As a 10-2 record, I think these players... 12, I think, looks to be the magic number, but of course every tournament is a little different. So it could be 12 with good breakers, could be having to get to 13 wins if you started off the tournament by losing a good chunk. So these players are definitely in it, but they got to more than likely win at least 2 rounds.
Looks like we're ticking down on Tamio now to dig back a green spell.
Yep. Can also get the preordain if you want.
Okay. There goes Tam in the bin. Bye-bye.
And I think getting preordain here is just signaling I need to find Sink into Stupor only.
Yeah.
You don't want to rumble that one away. That would be a little sad.
That would suck. So what's that, bottom?
Looks
Draw.
like it.
What did you find, David?
Okay, artifacts.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, that
Got
construct
it.
just got a little more scary, Corey.
Yep.
See.
Construct and Emery getting in to be able to try to pressure this Karn. And now with the ability to make another construct, they're starting to look decently reasonable. But the one thing Karn is good at doing is you get to just destroy Opal or destroy Bauble every turn. As well as I believe we saw a World Breaker that can just destroy the Urza Saga. And, of course, the grand finale here is Emrakul the Promised End at some point, taking David's turn and just making some really, really bad attacks on David's side.
I mean, look how much, for lack of a better phrase, crap is in his graveyard.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty cheap Emrakul at this point. Whee!
And the fun thing with all the Eldrazi ramp players that also have played Temur Breach, the best thing to do when you have Emrakul is to combo, is to start comboing off, mill yourself, and then just never cast the Thassa's Oracle, and then say go, and they deck.
That's so rude.
Exactly. Very rude.
I want to see it's taking your opponent's turn where you just be like, all right, out your seat, sit down, play, and then go back to your seat afterwards.
Admittedly, that's what I've done every turn I've or every time I've played that card on Commander Versus.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Whenever they let me in their seats,
Nice.
I'll take control. Jeremy loves it. Let me tell you.
I'm sure he
loves
does.
it.
He's going to start throwing crunched up paper at you soon.
Exactly. Yep.
Alrighty, sowing Micah Spawn. And a judge call here quick. So exile a land and then go fetch a land if kicked. Or the other way around.
Looks like maybe it didn't specify. Not sure exactly what this call is about, but we'll, of course, let the judges figure this out. Remember, even if this is a little minor thing, which I'm sure it is, judges are your friend. So.
Right, so as they sort that out, friendos, we'll just remind you that if you would like to join us for one of these events, even if you aren't qualified for the regional championship, come and hang out with us at the next one anyway, because there's going to be a bunch of events on the go. So our next one is going to be SCG Charlotte, March 7 to 9. Come and hang out. If you've got nothing happening that weekend, well, now you do.
Exactly. No, that's going to be a really fun event. You know, this is going to be after the Pro Tour. It's going to be, about a month from now, 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And, not sure how many RCs are in between that time, but we'll see how the metagame adjusts for this second U.S. Regional Championship. And I think that's going to be a very interesting one, as we're going to see if people are just absolutely prepared for Breach, can they beat it? And then after that, we have SCGCon Hartford here, May 16th to the 18th. That'll be the next round of regional championships. And, of course, if you want to check out this regional championship, you can kind of be qualifying right now for it, essentially. If you're playing any RCQs, go to starcitygames.com/SCGCon to get more information on that. And like you said, there's always so much going on at these events rather than just the RCs.
Absolutely.
You can play all kind of events, 5Ks, 10Ks, all that kind of stuff.
You don't have to do anything with a K in it. You can just go play Commander with your buds.
That's true. That's true. I always think when I come to these events, I'm like, I am going to play one of the major events, but not everyone likes to do that. That's not always your thing, but, there's a bustling command zone going on right over there next to us. A lot of limited.
Yeah.
Basically anything you want to do.
Artists as well. They've got a great selection of artists here. So if you have cards you want to get signed or pick up some artist proofs,
Yes.
It's awesome. You can get some really, really cool, like, con-exclusive merch,
I've been making it a point to, I come to so many of these events, and there's always such talented artists out there that I've been making it a point to kind of, get some artist proofs to, hang up in my stream room and stuff. But I always want to get the, really big ones, but then I always have to fly, so...
Well, you could ship it to yourself, I guess.
Charlotte, I'm driving, so...
there you go. You got space
I'll be getting some stuff. Exactly.
A big thank you as well to our sponsors this weekend for making these events possible. Beckett's, if you need to get your cards graded, you got those shinies you don't want to sell or you want to sell it for more, get it graded from Beckett. And Dragon Shield, if you want to protect your decks, then be sure to go and check out Dragon Shield. Sponsoring all the events this year, which is heckin' cool. So thank you very much to Beckett and to Dragon Shield.
Two great companies, thank you so much to them for, just sponsoring Paper Magic. That's what it's all about, I mean, these are my favorite events is live competitive paper tournaments, there's none better than that. Of course, it's fun playing high-level Arena and Magic Online and stuff like that, too, but Paper Magic, that's where it's at.
I like it when I don't have to remember my triggers, so I'm a little biased towards the
There you go. Have you considered to get good?
If I had more time on my hands, I would get good. Yes.
I'll still be forgetting bobble triggers left and right. I mean, Modern is tough. That is for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with the judge call, which will be resolved here pretty soon, these are amazing and high-level Magic players. You miss things, I mean, Magic, when it's competitive IRL, it's a little unfortunate at times because, well, it's really tough. And a lot of things happen all the time.
Yeah.
You can miss anything, so players got to keep on top of it. And, you got to not feel bad when you're like, well, your opponent missed something. Sorry, you missed it. I mean, that kind of thing happens at this competitive scene. And that it really shows, the really, really good players from the great ones. I haven't seen Javier miss many things, for instance.
You know what I do?
Huh?
We saw it with one of the players yesterday. I can't remember who it was, but he had sticky notes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I have a very convoluted board state, this is mostly in Commander because that's where I played most paper.
Yeah.
Sticky note. Remember, 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 remember. Okay, cool.
Nice.
It's my turn. Upkeep. I do this. Yeah.
What if
So
you forget your sticky notes at home, though? Are you just
Then I'm-
completely toast?
then I'm drawing on a sleeve or something.
Okay. All right, I like that. I did see out in the tournament hall a Storm player had a piece
yeah?
of paper that had like 4 corners,
Yeah.
and one of them said like, play these this turn. You can play these until the end of next turn. It was all for like the Ren's Resolve and stuff like that.
That's
so
cool.
It was pretty cool.
Alrighty, looks like our judge call is resolved. If we can find out what that was all about, we'll let you know. But the turn is passing back now to David as we rejoin our players here. It's still 0-0 apiece, but it looks like Damien is scooping it up to David.
No, definitely
Question
David
mark?
losing that for sure.
Okay.
Kind of all locked out there, I would assume. And it looked to be something minor, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
It looked to me, if I had to guess, by the state of that game, it was something like the Sowing Myco spawn
Yeah.
targeted a land to exile, but you forgot to search, and then asked, hey, can I still search? That's my guess. I'm still not sure, though.
Okay, well, if we do find out, we'll let you know because we're curious and want to know these things. So, sideboard time. We'll also, you said that Damien won that one?
I would think so, but yeah, we'll get some final confirmation.
there, yeah.
I can't imagine David was in a winning position there by any means. So
He had a real big construct, though.
Sure.
It was real big.
All right, so looking at sideboarding here,
There we
starting with David, it's definitely the 4 consigned memories. Those are kind of the auto include. I'd be getting those Unholy Heats in there, as well as that is a card that both deals with the Soulless Jailer, which is a pain, as well as the Karn, which is the best card against you, competing with Stony Silence, I guess. But those are the main things I'm bringing in. You can consider, I definitely bring in the Jace as well, as there's a Bajuka Bog on the other side, so there's a chance your first win con could get exiled.
Yeah.
And those are the first cards that I'd be bringing in there, getting rid of like Soul Guide Lantern, Spell Snare, Aether Spellbomb, maybe even Haywire Might, kind of the one-ofs that aren't necessarily great in this matchup.
Is Spell Snare basically just for other counter spells?
You know, a Spell Snare is at a spot that is actually pretty good in the metagame because you look at Breach and you look at Energy.
Yeah.
Both of them just have phenomenal 2-drops. You know,
Sure,
you see Underworld Breach, a Johnny, Goblin Bombardment, all those things. It's just really good there, but also hits the Thraben Charm, I believe it is, the white charm to exile the graveyard and stuff. So it's just pretty strong there. You also see that card kind of flip and flop with Spell Pierce or Swan Song.
Yeah.
And I think Spell Snare was like the card. I was playing 2 of that in my main deck when Frog was still around, but because it hit basically everything in that deck.
Ribbit.
Yeah, when you have a Psychic Frog and you're on the draw, that card can kind of just run away if you're on the Breach side. But with the decline of that and the increase in Eldrazi, where Spell Snare is pretty bad against Eldrazi, a lot of players have been cutting Spell Snares, and I think 1 is fine, but I do like Swan Song or Spell Pierce a little bit better these days.
Nice.
Yep.
Alrighty. And then from the other side of things, what changes do you think we'll see from Damien?
You know, not too much from the Karn package. I would think I'd want to be taking out the Writhing Chrysalis. I'm definitely bringing in the 2 Stone Brains. You maybe bring in all 3, but there's some consideration to leaving 1 in for Karn. But I would think get those Chrysalis out of my deck and get these Kozilek's Return out of my deck and just bring in whatever you can here. So I would bring in the 3 Stone Brain. Maybe you could...
Stone Rain? Is this a good target considering Urza?
Not really. If you're on the play from the Eldrazi side, I don't think it's terrible. But yeah, maybe you just get rid of the 3 Kozilek's Return for the 3 Stone Brain and you keep in the Chrysalis. It's fine. It's still a ramp spell.
Ramp spell. I like how you put it. It's like, oh no, it's just... Yep.
Yep. Just a
I'm just rampant, by blowing up my stuff. What the hell?
Yes.
It's Cultivate, but mean. Speaking of Cultivates, if you want to pick up some cards or sell some extras because they keep reprinting Cultivate in every format, well, you can go and sell them all at sellyourcards.starcitygames.com. Go pick up some other ramp spells like Stone Rain. according to Corey.
No, I was saying Writhing Chrysalis is still a ramp
Oh,
card. Yes,
that
yes,
one. Okay, gotcha. Okay, now I understand. Now I think you're less of a devil. All
Okay,
right.
yeah. Stone Rain, not the best ramp spell.
Backwards ramp, but whatever.
It is nice to see Stone Rain in Modern right now.
It's kind of fun, yeah. That
Yeah.
White Orchid Phantom, too, is basically Stone Rain on a stick.
Yes,
Depending on how many
yes.
times you can flicker it. But
Exactly.
all right, David mulligan to 6, it looks like. And
like
Damien on 7. I think so.
And looks like David
Whew.
did also bring in Flame of Anor, which a perfectly reasonable card. Can be solid. The worst case scenario is it's a 3-mana divination.
Yeah.
So reasonable to bring that one in as well.
Do you like 0 drops? What are these called? Cheerios?
Cheerios, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of a broken deck, that one was truly broken. Woo. And speaking of a broken draw, this is an extremely good draw. This is kind of the ideal start from Damien, being able to have 3 mana on the battlefield, be able to Ancient Stirrings for whatever you want to find. And if you can ever get a turn 2 Karn, against Grinding Breach and there's not a consign, game over.
What is the exile there? Is that a World Breaker?
Oof. Looks like a World Breaker, yep. And most importantly, a pass of the turn from David. So
Yikes.
we saw the Flame of Anor, so needed land 3 to be able to just draw some cards here. And now it's just Damien's turn to just kind of go crazy here.
Ooh, still bright.
I do see a consign, so we'll see if it's warranted.
Yes, indeed, says David. So get that out of there.
And that's great. If your 2-drop eats up a consign already, I mean, ideally what I want to be doing from the Breach side post board, playing a Tameo on 1, and then, develop on turn 2 with a Rumble or something, and then for the rest of the game, hold back on Tameo and either draw clues if I don't need to consign, or consign something until I stumble into the combo. That's kind of my post-board game plan of a Tameo control style deck.
Damien will die to his Talisman of Impulses, I say. Who knows? Nearly forgot to take a ding there, but the judge catching that and reminding him, so thank you, judges. Another ding.
Okay, and a lot of ramp here. We don't see for sure a payoff. We'll see if it's here right now, but something like destroying a land, oh yeah. Huge game here from Damien. Being able to search up a land, blow up this island is extremely huge.
Yowza.
No consign number 2, and there is a Ghost Quarter, a great look from Damien because, well, normally that's, hey, you go fetch out a basic. There's almost always only one basic.
There's one island
Yep.
in David's list, so that's bad news bears.
Yep. So now David also knows that this Ghost Quarter is just a strip mine, and you can just either hold that fetch land until you're going to use it, or you can like surveil right now with a Thundering Falls to try to find another land, but Damien can just blow it up at end step.
That is brutal.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, artifacts are good and all, but we need a legendary for one of them. The other one doesn't make any mana, and the last one is dependent on having 3 of them out. So
Exactly. So it makes it kind of awkward where you can't crack Bobble because, well, you're trying to find a land, but it removes a land from you.
Yeah. The artifact lands, none of them are 2-color, right?
There are some, but they come into play tapped and they're indestructible.
Fair.
And they end up being just not good enough.
But they wouldn't get Ghost Quartered.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, well, this is fun. We have mana aplenty on Damien's side of things, and David is a little SOL.
Yeah, so David at least did get to Flame of Anor there to draw 2 cards, which isn't the absolute worst, but yeah, right now, Emery is great, but if Damien has a follow-up here and there's not a consign off that Mox Amber, just give it to Damien at this point.
It's not looking great here, friend.
Yeah. And at worst case, Damien has that World Breaker underneath.
Yep.
And if there is an Eldrazi Temple, could get that going, but Stonebrain for Breach here would be pretty strong as well.
Yep. And a card. Oh, goodness me.
Yep.
In response, we'll see Mishra's Bauble. Gets a look at the top of Damien's deck there.
Yep, this looked near impossible. Damien's draw was fantastic.
Yeah.
And David
He just went
stumbled.
nuts.
And David stumbled one or more turns there and made this game just not look very close.
No.
Now there's 3 pieces of hate on the battlefield that are all very tough for David to deal with. Has to find a way
Yeah.
to deal with Karn, the Stone Brain right now, and then Crypt eventually.
Good Lord. This is like watching a car wreck in slow motion,
Oh,
honestly.
100%. This is an absolute beating.
And this is nothing against David. I mean, Damien just drew the absolute nuts here.
Yep, and David kept a hand, was already on the mulligan, and kept a hand that just needed 1 land, and the hand was kind of online. So, I mean, I'm totally with David. It was a very reasonable keep.
Yeah. There's the Saga is going to be the pick here. Land for turn, perhaps. Oh, going for Tamia, rather. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, tough either way. Has to pass the turn, and now with this active Karn, what we have 5, 6, 7. If there's a land, you could play a Cityscape Leveler if you want. It's not even that important right now, so even just Stone Braining and ticking up Karn.
Yeah.
I don't know. Damien could close his eyes and pick an option right now, and it would probably still win him the game.
Random BS go!
Yep.
In essence. Takes a look at... Oh, yeah. Yep. Gonna dig through the decks, see how he's sideboarded, get all of the Underworld breaches out of there, and you gotta think now the door is firmly shut here on David Olsen.
Yep. And now, the breaches are gone, so David will get to draw a card because 1 was in hand. But, the Stone Brain goes to exile right away as well, so you can actually Karn for it again if you want. So you only need to leave 1 in your sideboard if Damien did leave 1 there.
Jeez.
You got the main card gone,
Yep.
so you really don't need to Stone Brain again, but it is an option.
Yeah, I think we should just rename this to Eldrazi Prison.
It is
Based
pretty
on
close.
what we've seen, because
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you're ramping, but every Eldrazi is going to do that. Just what he is doing
Yeah.
is saying you don't get to play Magic right now.
Yeah, 100%. This is not the Eldrazi deck of old where we
Yeah.
would see, I need to get 7 mana on turn 3, cast a Karn Liberated or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, or try to get to 10 mana for Ulamog. There's just, the Tron decks have finally evolved. For so many years, Tron didn't get any tools, and rightfully so. It was a very strong deck for quite a while. But now with Modern Horizons 3, it really got a shot in the arm.
Oh, boy. And they're not even playing any Tron lands, right?
I don't think so, yeah. Most of
No,
them are
you-
all just Ugin's Labyrinths and Eldrazi Temples.
Can't call them Tron. This
Yeah.
ain't Tron.
Yeah, I guess this is closer to E-Tron, but there's no Matter Reshapers, so it's not Eldrazi Tron. That was, of course, the MVP of Eldrazi Tron.
I'll believe you. This is way before my time.
It was the meme of Eldrazi Tron, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the worst card that was in a playable deck. Sorry to all you Eldrazi Tron lovers out there.
Oh, boy. So David is he's fighting the good fight, trying to find any corner case here in which he could possibly win this game. Is already down 1, but passes the turn back, and now Damien just gets to do whatever the heck he wants.
Yep, and without your breaches, it is possible to win the game still with your combo, but not when you're this far behind, not with this many hate pieces out there. It involves grinding station and milling yourself the old-fashioned way, I
And then
guess.
finding Thassa.
And then casting Thassa or Jace from your hand, but
Down to 4.
yeah,
Passes the turn.
without breaches in the deck, we're going to see a handshake here real quick.
Oh, that was rough to watch. David
Yep.
Olsen, unfortunately, getting dismantled there by Damien Del Nero on
Yep.
Eldrazi Prison.